Hello, this is your instructor, Russ Tompkins again, and we're now ready to talk about week 4 of our class. It's amazing how fast our class goes. When we finish with this week, we'll be 1/3 of the way done with our class. Today, we're going into our second speech, which is an informative speech using PowerPoint. So I have very detailed instructions for you and help on the announcements of week 4. So I really recommend you read those over closely. But this is kind of a supplement to those. This is what I would be doing if I were giving a lecture in class. So it's kind of a combination of being online, viewing this on your own time, but yet also having the advantage of having me help you with some things. Now, the speech is not due this week. It's due by the end of week 6. This is week 4. So you still have a couple of weeks to work on this. And we're going to be focusing today on how to prepare for this speech. And I'm going to be giving you an order of how you do this. And I really recommend you follow this order. Don't just stray and try to jump ahead and do things out of order or just try to do things on your own, because it just tends to not work as well as if you follow these instructions that I'm laying out for you, and also the instructions that are on week 5 of the Blackboard site. We're going to take a look at some of those instructions in a little bit here, but I wanted to start by telling you that you're going to be selecting a topic is the first thing that you need to think about. And the instructions on week 5 say that you can pick a topic from one of 2 general areas. Now, this topic has to be something relevant, something that is important in the last 5 years. So this is now we're into 2023. This would be something that goes back no later than, say, 2018, 2017 at the very latest. But you can either select a pop culture personality or a pop culture product, some technology perhaps, something that is not a person, but it's something that has come about just in the last 5 or 6 years that has become significant or important to you, not necessarily to everyone else, but it is significant to you. So that's one thing to think about. Is there a celebrity that I have enjoyed paying attention to that's a pop culture celebrity? Is there some technology that we use today that you just can't imagine how you could not use it? Now, when you select this topic, you need to know what pop culture is, because that's very important. And I did put a definition from Bob Crossman on the announcements. Please look that over. And we just need to know that pop culture can involve a lot of different areas, such as music, something in the music field, something in the sports field, something in the artistic area if you're an artist, dancer, anything like that. So if you're an athlete, maybe you want to select an athlete that you admire, somebody that's maybe plays the same sport that you do and that inspired you and has inspired you the last 5 years or so, someone that participated in the last Olympics, say. And you could talk about that person, and you could talk about what makes that person significant to you. Or maybe you could talk about something like a software program, something like TikTok, which is a program that's just been a recent phenomenon. Or maybe you'd want to talk about something like the iWatch or something like that you recently received, something that's significant or important for you in some way. So that's the important thing, is to select a topic, pick something that is of pop culture significance of the last 5 years or so. The second thing that is important is the time limit. You can't tell us everything about this topic that you just don't have time for that. You have a minimum time limit of 4 minutes. You have a maximum time limit, according to the directions, of 5 minutes. Now, I'm going to relax that maximum time limit for you a little bit. I will allow up to 6 minutes. So 4 to 6 minutes. Generally say your target then is 5 minutes for this speech. So you want to have an introduction, have main points, and you're only going to have two main points. We'll get into that in just a minute. But you'll have two main points and you'll have a conclusion, all fitting within that 5-minute time limit. So make sure that when you select your material of what you're going to talk about, this personality or this pop culture product, that you're going to be able to not have too much information. If it goes, way over 6 minutes, then you're going to have points taken off and deducted because of that. Same thing if you go under time too much. So you want to hit right in between 4 and 6 minutes. The next thing we need to talk about is you need to think about your audience. That's the third part of this step. Let's say the topic selected. Let's say you're going to do a personality. Maybe you want to talk about, Elon Musk. He's someone that's been in the news recently for Twitter and for, other companies that he owns and that he influence that he does. Or maybe you want to talk about a social media influencer, or maybe you want to talk about the iPhone, iWatch, the latest version of the iPhone, perhaps, or an Android phone that you have. So then the next thing is your audience. Who is it that you're speaking to? What do they know? What do they believe? What do they value? What do they actually do? That's going to be very important when you prepare and write your speech. Who are these people that you're speaking to? Well, it says in the instructions that these are recent college graduates. So first of all, their age would be probably somewhere in the range of 22 to 25, 26 years old at the most, because most people graduate from college when they're 22, 23, some as young as 21. But the average probably is going to be around 22 or so. So these are recent college graduates, say within the last 2, 3, 4 years. So they're going to be approximately your same age. So what would someone your age be interested in hearing about? What would they know about? How much would they know about your topic? And then talk about what their belief would be. Do you consider yourself to be an average person, or are your beliefs a little bit on one side or the other side? Or are you pretty much right in the center? If your beliefs are pretty much right in the center, then you've got to maybe assume that's what your audience is as well. And so keep that in mind. What do they value? What's important to them? What's not important to them? All those things are going to be important to what you present to them. How much they know on the topic. That's the information that you need to tell them. If they already know something, you don't need to tell it to them. And you don't need to go into so much detail because you only have 5 minutes to do the speech. And then what do they do? Do they use this technology? Have they ever seen this person, the personality before? So the audience is going to be very important. Then after we talk about the topic selection, the time limit, the audience, then we go into actually talking about what kind of speech is this? And so here we're talking about the general purpose of the speech. Why are you giving this speech? And there are 3 general purposes you can select from. Are you trying to just inform the audience, give them information? Or secondly, are you trying to persuade them, either convincing them to think about things in a different way, or perhaps a speech to get them to take some kind of action, to do something? That's a persuasive speech. Or are you trying to give an entertaining speech, a speech to arouse some kind of emotions in them? Well, you need to know for this speech, this is an informative speech. So you're not trying to persuade them to do anything or to think differently. You're just trying to give them information about your pop culture personality or pop culture product that you're going to be talking about. After you know your general purpose to inform, then you need to think about, what is my specific purpose? Specifically, what do I want to accomplish by the end of my speech? And I like to have students write this down in a sentence. Start with the phrase, after hearing my speech. So you might want to stop this video right now and go get a piece of paper, a pen, or get on your computer and type this out. After hearing my speech, my audience will, this is the 22 to 25-year-old audience, right? Recent college graduates. After hearing my speech, my audience will, you probably want to say something like, know more about whatever the name of the personality is or the name of the product. You could even get as detailed as you could be, but at this point, it's not that important. But you just want to write down for yourself to know if I could, explain to someone in one sentence what this whole speech is about. And it's about knowing about this personality or this product. So that's what you want to write down, and you want to refer to that. Go back to that in your preparation this week and next week, because that's going to be very important for you to keep that in mind, that you're not trying to do anything other than give them information about this personality or this product. All right, once we know the general purpose, the specific purpose, now we're actually ready to start writing the speech. And you start writing the speech by coming up with something called a central idea. The central idea means this is the sentence that I'm actually going to use in my speech. And this statement, this central idea statement, can actually performs two functions. One of the functions that it performs is it announces what my topic is. In other words, it tells the audience, here's who or what I'm talking about. So it could be that if you selected Elon Musk, or maybe you selected President Biden as your pop culture personality, or maybe it's a television star, movie star, whoever it is. Then you say in your central idea, you name this person. Uh, Everyone has heard of President Joseph Biden. And so perhaps you include that in your sentence. But then you also want to include one other thing. That is, you want to preview what your main ideas or main points will be about this person or about this product. What two things are you going to talk about in regards to this person? What two things are you going to talk about in regard to this product? Now, the central idea can be found in one sentence. You can make one long sentence out of this, announcing both the name and of the, announcing the topic as well as the main points. But you more than likely will divide it up into two sentences, and you probably split these up. Because when we talk about introduction and conclusions, we're going to talk about how you do not start by announcing your topic, but somewhere in the beginning of the introduction, somewhere after your attention getting device. That's when you're going to want to tell the audience who it is or what it is that you're going to be talking about. And then at the end of the introduction, before you get into your first main point, that's when you'll want to preview your main points. Now, if you want to combine this together and do the announcing of the topic and the preview all together in one sentence, then it's recommended you wait until toward the end of the introduction and you do both those things. You start out with a story, start out with a quote, start out with some rhetorical questions. Those are examples of how you could start with an attention getter. And then you lead into your central idea. So what I tell students is, now's the time when we need to get specific about what about this person or about this product are we going to talk about. So I'm going to pause the recording just for a moment so I can share my computer with you. Once I share the computer screen with you, then you will see more of what I'm talking about. So at this point now, I'm sharing my computer screen with you. And what you're seeing here is actually week 5. This is the instructions for what's called the PowerPoint speech. And so if we take a look at some of the specifics underneath of here, you're going to see that there's some requirements that you need to, look at. One of the things is in this section that I'm going to be highlighting right here. This section right here tells what those two main points are. So now we're at the point where we're creating our central idea, our one or our two sentences that announce the topic and tell what it's about. And here, if you take a look at this sentence, it says, what is the most significant popular cultural product or personality from the last 5 years? That's main point 1. And secondly, why is that product or personality the most significant? So you see here that there's two things that we want to talk about in our 5-minute speech. The first one is, who or what is this significant popular cultural product or personality? So in other words, the first main point is where you're going to tell us about this product, let's say. So if it's the iWatch, where did the iWatch come from? Who invented it? What is it about? And you really don't have time to go into a lot of detail on that first main point. I would say if you have two subpoints on the first main point, that's plenty, three at the most. So if you're talking about a person, maybe you want to talk a little bit about where did they come from? Where were they born? Where did they grow up? Who influenced them? And then maybe the second thing that you want to tell about this person for the first main point is what did they do? What have they done recently in the last 5, 6 years that has been really significant to you? Maybe it's that they have, not only been a singer, a celebrity in that way, but they've also been a person that has a certain cause that they donate to, that they advocate, and you're really interested in that same cause. And so therefore, this person is significant, not just because they're a great singer, but because they also are doing something that you feel is really important in life. So that's the first main point. The second main point is, why is this product or personality the most significant? So in the second main point, you want to get into details about the significance of this product or this person. Why is the iPhone so important, the latest version of the Android? Why is that so significant? What can it do that previous versions could not do? So maybe again, you want to think about two things, two subpoints to this second main point. Why is that product or personality the most significant for you? So that's going to be important. That's your central idea, and that's also generating your main points. And I would suggest you write all this down. You've got your specific purpose statement written down that you can always go back to. After hearing my speech, my audience will know more about whatever it is you're talking about. Keep that in mind. That's all you need to tell them, just giving them knowledge, giving them information. The second thing you should have written down now is your central idea, which is the one or two sentences that names the product or the personality. And secondly, it tells what your two main points will be. So a typical central idea that could tell the two main points would be something like, in today's culture, we couldn't get along without an iPhone. And our latest iPhone version that we have, I don't know if it's up to 11, 12, 13 version by now, but the latest one can do so many things that our previous versions could not. And today, what I want to do is I want to tell you more about the background of the iPhone and also tell you why I believe it's the most significant pop culture product of the last few years. See there, I've announced the topic. I've also previewed the two main points, and I've actually used the words that are in this question. That's why this question here is so important, is use the word significant that you see right here. Use that in your central idea, because that's important. It's telling your audience a preview. Here's what I'm going to be telling you about. All right, so now that we know the central idea, we've generated our two main points. Now we're ready to go out and gather supporting information. And we know exactly what kind of information we're looking for. If we're giving it on a personality and we want to talk about where they came from and what they're doing today, those are the two things you're looking for. Now, where do you find this information? This is also something we want to look here at week 5, because you are going to be wanting to use these online newspapers that are listed right here. You're limited to these. Now it says you need to use at least 3 of these online newspapers that are right here. Let's say, for example, you want to use the LA Times. You would just simply look up Los Angeles Times in a search engine and find their website. They will have a website where you can get their paper electronically. They will even have a search feature on this electronic version, and you need to search for your pop culture product or personality, and you're looking specifically for information that would fit under those two main points. Once you've found that information from that paper, then perhaps you want to go next to the Chicago Tribune and search through that paper. Now, some students say, well, what about using other websites? And my answer is, first, find 3 newspaper articles that has some kind of information that you can use. You're going to be also including these newspapers in a bibliography that's part of your grade. But first find these articles from the newspapers. After you do that, then I will allow you to use whatever website, other websites that you need for information. But if I look at your bibliography and you have 3 or 4 websites and only one of these newspapers, or only, maybe 2 newspapers, you haven't fulfilled the requirement of this assignment, and that is to have 3 articles from these newspapers. It might take you a while to search through these and do a search. I can help you with the search if you just want to let me know what you're doing, what your speech is about. I can help direct you on how to do a search for these. But you must use these online newspapers. So that's where you need to start to find your information. I would say if you get this far this week, where you've thought of your topic, you have generated your specific purpose statement, you've come up with a good central idea that's 1 or 2 sentences, that you know exactly what your 2 main points will be and their subpoints. Now you're ready to actually start looking up information. Do that much for this week. And then by the start of next week, then I'll help you to know how to put this together, how to organize it into a speech, and how to include PowerPoint slides, because there is a lot of information on that I can give you on how to do slides correctly as well. So I'm going to stop sharing at this point, get out of here. And I just want to thank you for, sticking this out. This same information is in written form in your announcement for the week. But I think it's sometimes best if you hear it as well as reading it. And then you can always go back, rewatch this again, or you can reread the instructions. If you need to, send me an email, send me a text, or better yet, let's meet by Zoom. And you and I can talk about it. I can answer specific questions that you have. I can get on my computer and show you exactly how you search for information from the newspaper articles, things like that. So anyway, until we meet again, I just want to thank you so much for watching this video and being a part of the class.